I think we're good, yes. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call to order, Sharon Hostek, Stepler, present. Melvin Chitton.
Here.
Steve Carter.
Present.
Susan Schneider. And Laura Vaughn.
Make a motion for the approval of February 3rd meeting minutes.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have
Number
voluntary
4.
annexation. Yeah.
Voluntary annex and 68 Sunset Duck Lane.
Steve, you want to just go ahead and tell us about it?
Yes, so 68 Sundust Lane, it's a private lane off of Highway 5. It's basically right across from the Magruder Quarry. I know this map may be hard to see. This big purple here is the quarry. And then right across the road is this parcel in white.
Did that used to be a quarry?
Yeah, there was a
This
quarry
was
across the
stuff
street
parked up
down for the
there.
asphalt plant. Yeah, there, years ago,
Asphalt plant, okay.
years ago.
And so this, again, this little piece here was unincorporated, it still is. They requested water and sewer service, we said, yes, fine, but you gotta annex, and so they, the water and sewer has been connected, and the annexation now is on the board for you all to consider.
Was it on that side of the road already, the water and sewer?
Yes,
No.
Yeah. So, again, one more customer in town. It was actually me who suggested the C2 zoning. Mainly, it's because we got a whole neighborhood of C2, if you will.
Yeah. Right along the highway, they,
There's no issue with having residential in C2 there.
No, property owners often ask, well, if I'm zoned commercial, do I get taxed commercial? No. There's no tax on what you're actually using it. So there's no implication for that.
Do we even cooperate with the county, inform them when we enact something, what the zoning is?
We do, after the annexation, after we give them a copy of the ordinance. So, I mean, we've been doing.
see any. I don't see any.
I don't have any objection.
I don't have any objection.
I have no
As far as this zoning as well, correct?
Correct. I have no problem with that.
Make a motion to recommend to the board meeting for the voluntary annexation, 68 Sundance Lane.
Second, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
So what's the staff report?
Just some basic stuff here. At the last meeting, we had a subdivision, and so I told you then that we needed to update our subdivision regulations. And we're in the process of doing that. There's a draft in the packet tonight. I did send it to the city attorney. He returned some comments. And so through that process right now, they're pretty much ready to go. Now, procedurally, they have to have a public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission and then ordinance for the board. There's a 15-day publication requirement. And so that means, we got to get this done because of the way the newspaper dates fall, probably about 3 weeks before the next Planning and Zoning meeting, which, that's Planning and Zoning meeting is April 7th. So we got to kind of finish this up by the end of this week, early next.
So is this isn't the public hearing?
No, no. This is just draft only. It's basically just information for you, just.
And this is the one that the attorney already
Yes.
worked up?
No, this is what I sent to him.
Oh,
He then sent his comments back. And I wouldn't say any substantive changes. He definitely fleshed it out. But, you know, as you heard me say before, we need to update we really do need to update the entire code. We have been kind of piecemealing it. The whole intent of updating the subdivision regulations is to make a simpler, easy to understand process for subdivisions, kind of like the one that we had last month. That boundary adjustment provision I talked about, where you have two lots and you want to combine them into one, that's part of this draft. It's actually a pretty simple process. If we also, like a condominium plat, for example, we don't have any provision in our code right now for that. So it's honestly pretty simple. You just take the state law provisions and dump them in your own code. But any of those types of plats need to come through planning and zoning. If we were to get a larger residential subdivision, there would be kind of a two-step process. There'd be a preliminary plat, which would be subject to a public hearing. And often, you know, these subdivisions, they're of any size, you know, the neighbors, of course, are somewhat concerned. Obviously don't blame them. But you put that subdivision plan out for the public hearing, the neighboring properties get notified, so on and so forth. But that's called the preliminary plat. If the preliminary plat makes it through the process, planning and zoning, and then the board, then that gives the subdivider basically the approval he or she needs to proceed. So, I mean, I don't know that we've had, you know, it's funny, I mean, Hawk Lake is the one that comes to mind. And I don't know, that was probably developed back in 2010, if I'm recalling correctly. Apart from Hawk Lake, I'm not really aware of any other subdivisions of any size in the past. But go ahead.
when you talk about subdivisions, you know how like, well, even where your lake house is, got all the houses around it, that's not considered a subdivision?
Well,
It is?
That's Sunrise subdivision.
yeah,
So it probably didn't have any codes to go by?
yeah, that's kind of.
It's got an HOA and everything.
Well, we don't require HOA.
No.
We don't. If we were to have a new subdivision come through, I would strongly recommend we have an HOA. Now, what the HOA does is kind of up to the developer and owner, but there ought to be some type of HOA, if nothing else, just to,
Guideline.
yeah. And
Right, yeah, because our guidelines are pretty specific about, on the residential part of it, you know, your square footage has to be so much. You have to abide by certain setbacks. You can't have like a RV
Mhm.
for more than 45 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's no, you can't have, do the rental deal.
Oh,
Airbnb, yeah.
yeah, I would love to see a subdivision development proposed for Sunrise Beach. I really would. And Susan and I actually had lunch with someone today, and the land availability is, you know, the right piece of land is kind of hard to find for that. But, you know, developers can work with, you know, you can work with some ground that isn't necessarily ideal, but if we had a subdivision proposal come through right now, I mean, we could manage it, but, you know, under the old set of codes, it wouldn't give us as much, it wouldn't give us as much maybe tools to manage it, and then on the developer side too, there'd be some uncertainties as to how is the city gonna handle this or that. So I think it's better to make it, as clear as you can.
Well, just out of curiosity, if we had someone that bought some land in Sunrise Beach, we would obviously have to have it would have to be annexed into the city, right?
Sure.
Okay, and then I don't know what happened with Hawk Lake, but the agreement was that they would put the streets in. Would we ever do that again?
Yeah, I mean, just to the basic concept is the developer's responsible for all the improvements. So they come to you and they say, look, we want to build out the subdivision, the lots are gonna look like this, we're gonna put streets in, and the utilities, water and sewer. They have to work with the electric provider and, all that, but that's on them. But yes, the developer's responsible for all that. If they want the city to accept the street for maintenance, then they have to construct it to our
That's where we fall short. On those specifications, this is what you need to do for curbs, roads, yada, yada.
So that was probably, that part was probably in place when Hawk Lake went through. And also it says in the deed that they will make the roads the way we wanted them to.
Right, there was an agreement in place, and, the developer did not.
Didn't do it.
Through.
That happens in subdivisions. I mean, just where I came from, Lake St. Louis, developers failed several times before it ever finally got finished. But they come in and they say they're gonna do this and that, and then they go broke. So you can't really do anything about it.
The way that these regulations have been drafted, this developer would have two options. One, they could put all the improvements in first before the final plat is approved. Or, and this is more typical, at least in my experience, they could put down some type of bond, escrow, or call it performance guarantee that secures those improvements. And then they have a specified period of time to get it done, And so if for some reason the developer would, fall short or go bankrupt, it does happen, then the city would have a bond it could execute on to get the improvements installed.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So,
So we're just looking at this we don't have to recommend or.
yeah, it's just info only.
Right, okay.
We'll bring it to you in full form next month, so please do plan on a meeting for next month, April 7th.
What day is the election?
Next day, April.
So we will have planning and zoning on the 7th.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Other than that, oh yeah, comp plan, we keep talking about it. We're just not there yet. It's just a fact. We're just not ready for it. I know there's been some discussion. And it's just kind of on hold. So I guess the one thing, I don't know that you want to start a comp plan update process in the middle of the year. I think it's better to start in the fall and the spring. And so I'm not going to say that we're kind of out of time for this year, but we're kind of close.
You still have to have some kind of a team. You can't just start throwing ideas out there.
Well, I've talked to two different consultants, and basically what they would do is they would coordinate the meetings. There'd be some meetings, open house forums, and there'd be meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I've been through this process before. I'm going to say maybe 2 open forums and then at least 1 meeting with the commission to start, and then there'd be once the work gets done, then there'll be another meeting with the commission. I wouldn't want to make it into a major project, but it does need to get done. I know we've had some of these conversations before. I mean, what is the community expectation on RV parks? It's as you know, we made some improvements. That one of the ordinances that went through you all recently talked about RV parks, but the comp plan is pretty quiet about it. Lakefront development, or do we want to see strip malls, or do we want to You know, if somebody was gonna put in a new commercial development, you know, do we wanna get real specific? Do we wanna see landscaping or lighting, or are we more, you know? I mean, I always think you ought to put in some basic, you know, requirements, but kind of leave it up to the developer from there, but I don't know, you know, I'm not sure what the community expectation is.
Well, I guess I think about that two ways. Right now, our biggest thing is we wanna get housing, we wanna get hotels, and we wanna get retailers. All that's gonna take so much time. Do we really need to start talking about sidewalks and lighting? I mean, I don't know how long a
I think
comprehensive.
he's talking
plan-
about if a developer came in to have that in place.
Have it like written down already.
Yeah.
Because the comprehensive plan we have right now, which is way old, it basically said, here's the history of Sunrise Beach. Here's where we would like to have this and this and this and this and this. So it was kind of like a green plan. Is that the way a comprehensive plan is supposed to be?
Sort of, but I think it gets more specific as to, you know, you mentioned, you know, I think there's a lot of people that would like to see more housing, a hotel, motel, for example. If that's the community consensus, then you develop regulations that are very inviting for that, right? And then you allow hotels in almost any commercial zone. I mean, right now, we were looking at the zoning code before the meeting started. I think we need to be C2, just to use an example. Well, let's say you're in C1 right now and you want to build a hotel. Well, it means you have to go through rezoning, and it just adds some time to the process. If the community wants to open the door for hotels, then you do it through your zoning. You just simply say, look, you can put a hotel pretty much in any commercial zone. A lot of different examples like that. You know, RV parks right now, we're requiring a special use permit for them in any zone, commercial zone. Which I think is fair. Maybe you go through the comp plan process. I don't think this is likely, but what if the community said, we're done with that? Well, guess what? Then you make it more difficult through your zoning. That type of stuff.
Well, comprehensive, that would apply to like the park or a dog park, walking park, and this is what our intentions are.
Well, and I mean, we could go on for a little while, but it is a good example. Let's say there's a lot of, you get a lot of feedback saying we want to have a park or more parks or that type of thing. Well, that gives the board and the city some direction. It's like, yeah, we need to be thinking more about parks. Maybe we set aside some of our budget and start trying to acquire ground. We haven't really done that. Right. So it's good practice. You know, the state law, when it comes to planning and zoning, the state law does require, and our own zoning code requires that our actions are in conformance with our comprehensive plan, right? And so, you know, I know updating is a chore, but it will need to be done at some point. We got a lot going on, and it's hard to kind of fit it in. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at.
Good winter project.
I know. I came across a consultant recently, who, you know, I think is very capable and, you know, might be a solution for us, but I just don't think we're ready yet.
They're pricey too.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, I think this was affordable, but, a lot of this is timing, you know, let's say if you want to get this thing started, from the point you hire these folks, you're at least probably 3 weeks away from the first meeting, if not longer, really. And so I'd always think about a comprehensive plan. It'd be nice to get an open house for them in April, May timeframe. And then it'd be good to do one in the summer, but I think you really do want to focus mainly on your full timers. It's fine to get feedback from the general public, but community should guide it, you know. So
Maybe we should think about sending out a survey in our next newsletter.
That's a big part of it.
Just say, we're thinking about our comprehensive plan and actually have some questions on there that they can answer and send back.
Yeah.
Put it as a filler in the newsletter. When's our next newsletter, April?
I've got it started. It's gonna be published late March. We'll go out last week of March, so yeah, we gotta get prepared pretty quick.
Okay. Okey-doke, what else? I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.